looking at a scene from the Onyx Experience, a new live concert film that traces the roots of black rock music in this country. Has its world premiere Thursday. That's this Thursday at the Paradise Theatre, as you saw. And here for a preview is the First Lady, the Queen of Canadian black rock music. It is Fefe Dobson joining us live from Nashville, Music City, USA. Good morning, Fefe.
Good morning.
Before I even get into the movie, they call it Nash Vegas now. Has music tourism just taken over in Nashville?
Oh, yeah, Nashville. There's music every corner. I mean, everyone's super talented. You just go to bars and you're like, you're talented, everyone's talented.
That's a great environment to be in. We'll get to the end of this interview, find out exactly why you're there, what you're doing. But let's start with this film and the two acts that you share the screen with, the OBGMs and Sate. That is one power trio of performers. That's a lot of big sound. That's a lot of big passion.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great project to be a part of. David Cox and Sate actually reached out to me, and when they told me what it was about, I had to do it. You know, it's about supporting BIPOC creatives, and especially in the rock genre and alternative rock. So I'm here for it.
And director Andrew Hamilton, I mean, tell us about the vision and sort of the way that the narrative works in this film. It follows Jamal Padmore's PA path, and it kind of explores and exposes the music and the mission through that vein, right?
Yeah, and for my performance, I think we do like 3 songs, and if I can recall, because we filmed it a little bit ago, but yeah, it was really cool because we had an art direction behind us, like really cool art that keeps like kind of evolving throughout each performance, which is really cool.
What are the greatest misconceptions, misunderstandings, even myths, Fefe, about black BIPOC Canadian rock within the national landscape and maybe on the global stage, how they look at us?
Yeah. Are you? Wait, sorry, was that a question?
Yeah, I mean, what are there misconceptions, misunderstandings about the scene in this country? What's it like internally, and how others look at us?
Well, for me, I started in 2003 and with Bye Bye Boyfriend and Take Me Away, and when I got on the scene, I definitely knew that maybe to some people I was different, and but I just tried to run with it and be as unique as possible and be myself. And I've always just tried to be myself. So I've never really thought about it ever since I was young. I really just did it because that's just who I am, So the climate is changing, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Some will say Hendrix opened the doors, Acts Like Living Colour may have carried the torch of black rock in the 90s and beyond. But, it's always kind of lived in the shadows of R&B and blues and jazz and then hip hop. Why do you think that is?
I mean, if I knew, I would be really, 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 I don't know, on a level. I don't know. I mean, there's categories and people get, I think, put in boxes depending on, unfortunately, the way people look. Yeah.
Well, the business in terms of the way the music is, delivered, it's not, run by conglomerates necessarily anymore, or radio, or a room full of people deciding what those boxes are and how it gets transmitted to the audience and the people out there dying for this music. It's more democracy now. It's more democratic. I think that's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of change happening, which is very, very important in the industry and overall. And it'll take time, but it is happening. And for instance, a lot of people don't know that the godmother of grunge, who created grunge, her name, a black woman named Tina Bell from Seattle. And she was the start of grunge music before Kurt Cobain. Right. People look at it as Sub Pop and Kurt Cobain and this, that, and third. And so being educated is very important. And
that's what this film does. We can't wait to see it. It premieres at the Paradise Theatre this Thursday. The Onyx Experience. Fefe Dobson from Nash Vegas, USA. Thanks for joining us. Have yourself a great day and a great summer.
Thank you, too.
Awesome.
Well, Apple has unveiled fresh updates for all of its operating systems and new laptops also taking advantage of next-generation computer chips.
And joining us now for a look is tech expert and evangelist Mark Saltzman. Mark, great of you to join us again. Thanks for being with us. So let's talk about these new upgrades coming to the iPhone. Let's start with that.
Yeah, sure. So look, this annual event, Worldwide Developers Conference, it may not be as exciting as the fall event where new iPhone hardware is unveiled. But in the software department, yeah, there was a few delights yesterday. One would be the new lock screen. So this is a lot more functional, and this is the #1 smartphone in Canada. So I think a lot of folks are going to be excited about this. You can fully customize it with different font colors and sizes, and more importantly, and adjust the photos. But you can now have what we call the complications, like from the watch. It's similar to Apple Watch, where you can glean information at a glance. So fully customizable when you're looking at the lock screen. What we're seeing here are some advancements to the messaging app. So now you can edit or delete a message you already sent to someone. People have been wanting this for a long time. You just press and hold your outgoing message, and you can make an edit on the fly or delete it altogether. If it was something embarrassing, you send something to your loved one that you meant to send to your significant other, to your boss. Yeah, you can now delete that. And then similarly with mail, as we saw there, you can also rescind a message. You can also schedule messages for the first time. So if you like to burn the midnight oil, or you like to work on weekends, but you know it's not the best etiquette to send messages to colleagues on the weekend, you can have it scheduled for Monday morning. It'll also let you know if you alluded to an attachment that you forgot to attach, if you use that word attachment. So things like that. So more functional.
Hey, Mark, just quickly going back to that erasing a message that you may have inadvertently sent, is that something you can erase before someone necessarily looks at it or reads the message? Is that the idea here?
Yeah, that's the idea. Now, obviously, there's going to be a short window in which you can catch it. And I don't know yet if the recipient is notified that you deleted or edited a message, which is what happens on other platforms. So that's yet to be determined. I wasn't able to attend the event in person, so I haven't played around with this new update. But that's coming to iOS 16, which a lot of folks can download soon if you sign up as a developer, or otherwise we'll have to wait to the fall to see.
Yeah, okay, interesting. So that means people with, let's say, an iPhone 10 or something of a lesser grade iPhone can also get the iOS 16.
Yeah, that's the benefit of software. Yeah.
If you have the space, good point. All right, Mark, let's talk about the changes coming to also the Macs. I know this new M2 processor is causing quite a stir as well.
Yeah, so again, this is usually a conference devoted to software. So it was exciting yesterday when they announced their 2nd generation silicon, which is the M2 processor. So this is the brains or the engine that drives the computer's performance. Apple took it in-house a couple years ago, so this is their next generation. So as you might expect, a lot more speed and efficiency, depending on the MacBook that you're going to be buying. It could be as much as 20 to 30% faster, 20-hour battery on the 13-inch MacBook Pro, and just 11 millimeters thin on the MacBook Air, and weighing under 2.5 pounds. So yeah, this is again we did see a glimpse at some new hardware, and the new operating system is called Ventura, and that's going to be available for even Canadians today who have an existing Mac.
Okay, that's good to hear. Now, those Macs are so light, you could put one on your wrist, but more appropriately, you'd use an Apple Watch. Mark, and of course, there are some updates to the Apple Watches as well, and those are becoming more and more popular too.
Yeah. For sure, yeah. So activity and health and sleep are still a big priority for Apple's popular wearable. And so yesterday they officially took the wraps off Apple Watch OS 9, the 9th generation of the operating system, with a revamped workout app with new modes, better heart metrics that you can analyze, a new sleep tracking feature. There's also new watch faces, as we're seeing there, some fun and quirky ones, new complications and notifications. So it's just getting smarter. And as per usual, you can use that Apple Watch to tap at retail to buy something. You can also get mapping information on the go. So lots of improvements across the board, whether you're an iPhone or iPad user, Apple Watch, or a Mac lover. There's something for everyone, and it continues today.
All right, Mark, good to know, because like you said, the iPhone's the #1 sort of device in the country, so a lot of people using these. Interesting stuff. Always appreciate the time. Mark Saltzman joining us here. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, calls to address the delays at Canadian airports like Pearson once again echoed following another weekend of frustration. Reports on social media, one from a former NHL player, went viral, suggesting that several Air Canada flights were canceled on Sunday. That resulted in hundreds of people waiting in line to rebook flights with few employees to help. Mayor John Tory says he's spoken with Federal Transport Minister Omar Al-Gabra about ongoing delays for passengers at Pearson. He says he was looking for help from the federal government to improve service at the country's biggest travel hub.
the responsibility for fixing it rests with the government of Canada and with the airport itself. And I think they have to get together, and I'm more than happy to be a part of that. I said to some of the people in Ottawa yesterday that if we had to find 25 people at City Hall to send down there and they could be trained to help out, we could find the 25 people or more. That's how strongly I feel about this needing to be fixed. And the government of Canada has been a good partner, to this city on a number of fronts. But I think right now, Toronto needs some attention, and people will say, well, there goes the mayor of Toronto once again saying his city needs attention. This is the economic engine of Canada.
Al Graber said yesterday that the federal government is doing everything it can to support the airport. Last week, the Greater Toronto Airports Authority called on Ottawa to remove on-arrival random COVID-19 testing and duplicate health checks. Robert Kokonis is the president and managing director of the airline consultancy firm AirTrav Inc., and he joins us live now via Skype. Good morning to you, Robert. Can these problems be pinned down to one problem, or is it a symphony of problems at work here?
For sure, it's a symphony of problems, Jen, and the risk we face here is that the delays we've been seeing for almost 65 days now at Pearson, unprecedented. We've had some problems at a few other global airports. Nothing quite matches Pearson. We're not even at the summer peak yet, so unless government takes fast action, it's going to get a lot worse, notwithstanding Mayor Tory's offer to lend a few bodies.
Now, Robert, a lot of the blame on this is sort of the COVID testing, screening, random testing, that sort of thing. Is that the first thing that needs to go in terms of, making things more efficient and move better at Pearson?
There's two issues. So inbound, outbound. Inbound coming through customs, absolutely. The ArriveCan app or random testing, all these measures have increased the per passenger processing time from, say, 40 seconds up to 4 minutes. And you've got, 15 aircraft arriving from Europe or the Caribbean within the space of an hour and a half. That's a real problem. So we need to address that. On the outbound of the security, going back to 2015, there was a report on changes to Canada's Transportation Act. It was tabled in Parliament in 2016. Every senior executive in Canada's aviation sector unanimously said CATSA, our Canadian Air Transport Screening Agency, is a disaster, lack of accountability, lack of new technology, lack of training. And last summer already, the government knew, the airports knew that air travel this summer had a good chance of spiking and to get ready for it, and they didn't do that, and here's the mess we are in right now.
Yeah, so it seems like, as with healthcare, COVID-19 really exposed a crack in this system at the airport, especially when it comes to security. Robert, what do you think this does for passenger confidence and ultimately the travel industry here in Canada?
Our biggest fear is that Canada is going to start to lose tourists and other travelers to other airlines. For example, flying British Airways without a mask. Technically, you should if you're flying into Canada, but we know the stories if you're flying other non-Canadian carriers. Or if you have a choice on where you connect, maybe you're flying from Europe to Mexico and you've elected to connect via Toronto. Maybe instead you connect via Boston or New York. So it's taking a real hit, and just at a time when Canadians and other travelers were taking to the air again, and the airlines, of course, suffered immeasurably during the pandemic, we've had this hit. So not good news, and not to mention this fall, we're very concerned once we get past the summer peak, all these issues around, especially around fuel prices, massive impact on the airlines. So this couldn't have come at a worse time.
Yeah, and of course, potentially the fall is when we'll see more COVID cases, so who knows where we'll be in the cycle of that again, Robert. The other issue that we've spoken to other industry analysts and experts about is the communications issue between airlines and airports. Airlines telling the airports we're going to bring in X number of passengers at this certain time. Airports, be ready for this. It seems there's a sort of miscommunication there. How could that be improved, Robert?
No miscommunication. This is a total red herring issue. Look, at airlines have got spikes or waves or surges since the beginning of time. Air Canada is the country's largest carrier. Their number one hub is Pearson. WestJet, their second largest hub after Calgary is Toronto. You get a morning surge, a midday surge, a late afternoon surge. This is just background noise here. Here's the real reality. None of our airlines were built to sustain 65 straight days of chaos. And what this does, it causes staffing issues from your check-in agents to people that could potentially direct traffic in the customs concourse, pilots, cabin crew who go overtime on their maximum duty day because they've been stuck on aircraft. So the airlines were not built for this chaos, and that's another reason we've got to get a handle on this as soon as possible.
Okay, Robert Kokonis, president of Air Travel, really appreciate the perspective you brought this morning. Thanks for being here on CP24 Breakfast.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Toronto Raptors have started a petition to follow the U.S. and recognize the first Friday of June as National Gun Violence Awareness Day in Canada. The team has released a series of ad campaigns and public service announcements to encourage the public to get involved.
Gun violence doesn't stop at the border. Sign the petition.
Canada needs a Gun Violence Awareness Day. Sign the petition.
Gun violence is a problem in the United States and Canada. Please sign the petition.
So with more on this, we're joined live by John Wiggins, the Raptors Vice President of Organizational Culture and Inclusion. John, it's great to have you on the program this morning. Perhaps you could start by explaining exactly what the petition you're getting on board with is actually asking for.
Yeah, believe it. That's great. And thank you for having me on this morning, Nick and Jen. It really is to have more of a conversation around gun violence as it increases in our city. And to understand that, as I was speaking with our NBA counterparts, that there was a National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the U.S., but we didn't have something like that here. What we want to do is advance this through legislature, and we want to get a day federally recognized that we can start having a conversation about gun violence here so that we can all live in a more inclusive and safe community.
And John, perhaps you can tell us more about how this petition to get a National Gun Violence Awareness Day in Canada started. The one in the U.S. started back in 2015. But on your petition on change.org, you also cite that firearm-related homicides went up by 37% over the last 11 years.
And I think that's kind of the point, Jen, is that a lot of people don't realize how this gun violence in our community is increasing. It doesn't look the same as it does across the border. Thankfully, we don't have the same mass shooting problems we have here, but crime is on the rise. The way kids are getting access and feeling comfortable using guns is on the rise. And we need to look at it as a problem that is happening in our country that we should be talking about so that we can provide other options, safe opportunities, and really just make this something that everyone has at the top of mind when they're outside or when they're living in their communities, because it is a problem for us. So it wasn't so much as we've got the same problem as they have across the border, but it's something that's increasing since the summer of the gun. We launched a midnight basketball program back in March, and we're hearing kids say, yeah, they're being experienced or exposed or traumatized by gun violence. How are we providing them with more options? How are we keeping our communities safe? So it really is about what we know is happening here, but opening up the conversation so that everyone realizes that although it looks different in Canada, it's a problem.
You know, it's kind of remarkable talking to you about this, John, because it's pretty rare to be talking to an executive from a professional sports organization, you know, petitioning governments, unless, of course, it's something about maybe like a new stadium or arena. So have the Raptors done this kind of thing before, and is this kind of a new direction? And do you think that fans and team members are expecting organizations like the Raptors to speak out on issues that matter to them ultimately?
Yeah, I would say, you know, over the last couple of years, the world has changed, and our culture here at the Raptors and who we are has been redefined, and we're evolving it. It's exactly why I'm here before you. We probably haven't been as involved in some of these issues as we were before, but we wanted to put an intentional focus on how we can use our platform to change and have better change and evolve what's going on in our communities. Our fans and our followers, they do have an expectations of the Raptors. They do want to see us leading in these spaces, and because the Raptors are such an inclusive organization and team, and really we're an inclusive family, and that extends to all of our fans, we want them to feel like we care about the issues they care about. Yes, we're a basketball team, and that's not going to change, and yes, we want to win championships, but we want to win in the community as well. This is another opportunity where we're hearing from our fans, and we're hearing what's happening in our community that we're a leader of, and we're saying we want to see change.
Okay, very quickly, John, what's the status of the petition? How many people have signed it so far, and have you gotten any reaction from the government yet?
Yeah, right now we're sitting at just under 20,000 signatures, and we absolutely have had support from multiple ministers of parliament, including Marco Mendocino, the Minister of Public Safety, who has said he's willing to take this through legislature for us. We're getting some enormous support, but we could always use more, so please sign the petition.
Okay, John Wiggins, the Raptors Vice President, Organizational Culture and Inclusion. Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
We don't talk about Bruno, no, no, no. We don't talk about Bruno, but it was my wedding day. We were getting ready.
With 2 billion streams, that's with a B, and 50 million YouTube views, Mini Pop Kids have become chart-topping household names for family-friendly entertainment around the world and discovering the stars of tomorrow. They're also back on tour with a gig here in Toronto at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre Sunday. And we say good morning to two of the Mini Popsters, Abby Borgatti and Julia De Silva. Good morning, ladies.
Hi.
Hey, look, it's good to see you both. Abby, I'm going to start with you. How did you score this incredible gig with Mini Pop Kids?
Ooh, I auditioned when I was 11, I think. I auditioned twice, actually. And the second time I made it in, I heard about it through school, and I submitted an audition online, and it kind of just progressed from there.
Abby, I want to know from your side of it in terms of backstory. Are you from like a showbiz, or sorry, Julia, are you like from a showbiz family? Did parents kind of nudge you into the arts and performing, or was this kind of your idea?
Well, I feel my grandpa and my dad, we all have a very musical background, so our parents kind of guided us almost. And so my dad really got me into the singing part, and my mom really got me into dancing. And it kind of just kept going on from there, and I ended up loving it.
So Abby, you guys are on this North American tour. It really just started. How was Los Angeles?
It was so crazy. It was both of our first times in California.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we had the most amazing time. We got to go to Disneyland after one of our shows. We went to the Walk of Fame. We did all these sightseeing spots. It was the most amazing time, and seeing everyone in California was so great.
Yeah, it's beautiful out there. And Julia, so how amped are you guys now to play Canada, to play Toronto, to play home?
I'm just so excited. It's such an amazing experience, I feel. And especially because some of my friends get to come and my family members to like the Toronto shows and everything. But I also love going outside of Toronto and going to, for example, Kingston and Ottawa, because I get to meet new fans and new people.
For sure. And Abby, I mean, it's like you're so close to the fans, right? There's a lot of VIP, a lot of meet and greet. It's not just, there's not a lot of separation. I mean, the show is the show, but then you guys really do get to connect with your fans.
Yeah, it's true. We've been so lucky to have such like intimate venues, so we could kind of be closer to the audience and see the kids' faces and dance along with them. And I love doing VIP because we get to meet them and get their feedback on the show and that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Well, we are all in for a treat now because you are both going to sing us out. You've got a special song. You're also going to play some guitar. What's the song?
You want to say? The song is We Don't Talk About Bruno, because it's one of our biggest numbers from the show. It gets a big fan reaction, and we know the kids love it, so we're just going to do a little bit of that.
Ladies, take it away. Abby and Julia.
Okay.
We don't talk about Bruno, no, no, no. We don't talk about Bruno.
Hey, stuttering and stumbling. I can always hear him sudden muttering and mumbling. I associate him with the sound of falling sand. It's a heavy lift with a gift so humbling. Always up the well and the family fumbling. Grappling with promises they couldn't understand. Do you understand?
He told me that the life of my dreams would be promised to someday be mine. He told me that my powers would grow like the grapes that thrive on the vine.
Oh yeah, Mariano's on his way.
He told me that the man of my dreams would be just out of reach, betrothed to another. It's like I hear him now.
I want
not a sound out of you. I can hear him now. We don't talk about Bruno, no, no, no. We don't talk about Bruno.
Oh, man. Bravo.
Thank you.
Abby Borgatti and Julia De Silva of Mini Pop Kids, both from Toronto. This is why we are the center of not just the hockey universe, but the pop music universe. We produce the best talent. That was incredible. I'm so happy that you guys are able to join us this morning and play some music for us, and so proud of both of you for getting this incredible gig. So good luck with the show Sunday at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre. Go to minipopkids.com for more information and news on auditions in the future. Ladies, have a great show. Break a leg. Just one, okay?
Thank you so much for having us.